the YouTube.
Okay, hang on there. Setting it up. And here we go. Okay, hang on. Okay,
Good.
we're ready to roll.
All right. It's 7:01, calling the Bloomfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission to order for a regular meeting on March 17th, 2025. And at the meeting, we have Glenn, Byron, Katie, Paul, Adam, and Kevin Wilcox. We have two new members, Glenn and Byron. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do we have any public hearings, regular meeting? No. Well, we got a public hearing coming up. Okay. So the way we run these meetings is we try to be done by 10 o'clock. That's our goal.
That's good. That's when I go to bed.
Yeah. It doesn't always work, but that's our goal. And for the new members, I try to keep the applicants directly on point. Sometimes I may sound rude, but that's the way it is. We want to get through the meeting, keep it moving, don't get off on tangents. This is the Wetlands Commission. We're only concerned with wetlands issues. We're not concerned with traffic, eyesore, population, neighborhoods, strictly wetlands issues, and they're governed by the state of Connecticut. In Connecticut, wetlands are not determined by water, they're determined by soil types. So that makes it even more interesting. And we also have a rule in this commission, although it won't come into play tonight, but you need 4 in the affirmative. So if there are only 5 members at a meeting and the vote is 3-2 in favor, the motion does not pass. It has to be 4 in the affirmative. So, okay. Peter, notice of violation, 63 Lincoln Terrace. Where's that?
Yes, the commission in their package has a second updated memorandum from me dated March 10th. The notice of violation was originally issued November 21st, was upheld at the December and the 18th and the February meetings. There were several corrective measures that needed to be done, and the property owner has complied with the first one, removal of material from the backside of the wall, backside of the retaining wall. And the second corrective measure was the submittal of a property and topographic survey. This survey was submitted by the surveyor, and the survey identifies the extent and depth of the fill material. And I included a copy of the plan in your package. And what I'd like to also do, if I can, is share my screen. Where's the share my screen button? Here it is. Okay, I think that's about as big as I can make it, but I am going to zoom in so we can see what's going on here. So This is Lincoln Terrace at the bottom of the map. That's the east side. This is Beaman Brook flowing this way on the west side. North and south are abutters. And so the survey has some important information that I want to make sure we all understand. So there's, sorry, I keep zooming in and then having to realign. So there's wetlands associated with Beaman Brook. Beaman Brook is a perennial water course. This line right here that I'm tracing with the hand is approximate limit of wetlands from the 2023 official map, and the upland review area is 200 feet from the water course. Takes almost the entire parcel. So this material was brought in and placed here without a wetlands permit, and there's a variety of materials here. There's a wall back here made out of pallets. There's a wooden retaining wall here. There's a stone retaining wall over here. And this gabion or gabion wall is made from columns of stone that are wrapped in wire. There has been some other construction, including a concrete walk, planting of these shrubs, and the construction of this shed, all within the wetlands area, which is, which was done without a permit. Secondarily, there's this wiggly line on the plans is the base flood elevation out there, which is at elevation 86. So there's flood, there's fill that was placed in the wetlands and in the upland review area and in the floodplain, all without a permit. We had a meeting on March 7th with Mr. Marg and Mr. Deno. Mr. Marg is the property owner. Mr. Deno is the surveyor. Also at the meeting was Alex Samalot, the zoning enforcement officer, Rob Trotter, your town engineer, and Dan Carter, director of public works. The general consensus of the town officials was that all the fill material needs to be removed. Mr. Marg stated that he cannot afford to remove the material, and that he has built up the backyard mostly by hand over the 9 years he has owned the property. Fines or a lien on the property were discussed, and Mr. Marg felt that either would result in him likely losing his property. At the conclusion of the meeting, it was agreed that an opinion would be sought from the town attorney regarding the various issues at this property. As the writing of this memo, we have not received a response from the town attorney, and I did not get one, from the town attorney for the meeting tonight. There, as I say in my memo, there doesn't appear to be any wiggle room on this one. On one hand, there's clearly a violation of the wetlands regulations, and the solution is to remove the material. On the other hand, Mr. Marg has stated he cannot afford to remove it, and I'm recommending a long-term plan for removal of the material, and I think it should be given some serious consideration. It is recommended that the commission uphold this notice of violation till the next meeting, which is April 21st, and require the applicant to submit a removal plan with clearly defined parameters or phases of removal. My suggested sequence of removal is to do some work the spring and summer of 2025, do some additional work for the fall of 25, and in the spring and summer and fall of 2026 to eventually remove all the fill materials and regrade to the original condition contours. The goal is to remove the material that was placed in the wetlands and upland review areas and return the filled area to its previously existing elevations. This would also effectively remove the floodplain violation and most of the zoning violations. So I am recommending that the commission extend or uphold the notice of violation to the April 21st meeting. And I think Mr. Marg should consider, uh, you know, the, consider a schedule like this. Maybe it needs to be compressed or maybe it needs to be extended. I don't know. But I think it's a reasonable approach.
When you say extend or compress, of the soil or of the offer?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When you say extend or compress, of the soil or of the offer that you're making me?
No, of the time frame and the suggested sequence of removal.
Yeah, we're not gonna wait 9 years.
Did not expect that, Alan. Good evening, everyone. So, as I stated in the meeting last Friday, as Peter mentioned, and thank you, Peter, for putting out a hand for me. I see and I know now the damage that I've committed over the years was not to my knowledge. Using the word, I don't have the finance to fix this situation. I get it. It doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't fix anything. I made a phone call today while I was at work trying to find out some prices on per truck, how to remove this landfill that was done over the 9 years. And the individual is going to get to a few quarries to find out how much it's going to cost per truck to bring this dirt to the quarry. Then he can estimate how much it's going to cost me in volume to remove all of this. It's an hefty price. I've spoken to other people and I'm looking at up to $70,000, which honestly, I don't have. In regards to my home, I've already used the max equity that I have in the house because I just came out of a 3-year, I just came out of a divorce 3 years ago. So I went down to ground zero and I had to pay my bills. I had to get back on my feet. So I had to use the equity in my house. Otherwise, I would have gone to the equity and resolved this issue because honestly, I don't like the fact that I'm in this position, but I'm in it. So I just got to do what I got to do. But for right now, I'm not asking for 9 years. I'm not asking for 20 years to fix this situation. I'm just asking for patience, please. I'm trying my best. And Peter knows he's been to the site. I am trying my best.
Well, most of this problem is that the brook is so close to your property that, and if we get a spring when we get torrential rains from the runoff down the brook, it's going to move some of the soil downstream to other people's properties and create issues down there.
So, Alan, I agree with you, and I also disagree with you because I have videos over the years. I've grass seed this whole place every single summer. And honestly, I mean, the rain pretty much fell a little bit today, but we had rain several times over the years while this is there. And I'm not rationalizing that, the landfill need not to be moved. But honestly, it hasn't caused any erosion. It hasn't destroyed anything.
Peter, that shed has to go, doesn't it?
Well, yes, the shed was built up without a wetlands permit. So yeah, it needs to come too.
That shed has to come down. Peter, what about Public Works rectifying this site and putting a lien on the property?
Well, that was discussed at the meeting, and I think not Public Works taking it out, but just putting a lien on the property for the removal. And I don't know all the ins and outs or legal aspects of a lien, but a lien on the property would I think create an issue financially for Mr. Marag, even if the the lien was something that was, that was done um, in a way that it, you know, it would be as little as possible. But I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah, I can tell you if the town put a lien on a property, the lien would sit there until you refinanced or sold the property or paid it off.
As I mentioned to Peter, this home is my kid's home. I have no intention of selling it. And putting a lien
Uh,
on the property, as you suggest, is pretty much sinking me deeper than where I'm at.
you
But
know,
as again,
what what do you expect us to do?
I honestly, sir, I'm just listening. I'm here to give
Well,
my honest opinion and
yeah.
to partake in whatever I need to partake in. If I had the money, we wouldn't even be in this meeting. The last meeting we had, I promise you, I would have gotten the topographic survey. And
Where
we
did
got
all this topsoil come from? All this fill come
it
from?
all came from modern material. It's not, it's landfill. This
Was
was
it
all from
tested?
modern material.
Was it tested before it was brought on?
Yes, because I even went to Charlie. I went to Charlie last Friday.
Yeah.
I went to his office. I sent him a few emails that Peter had sent me. I explained what's going on, and his honest opinion is you violate the wetlands, Dwayne, but try to convince the board just to have you seed it, put some proper topsoil on it so you don't cause any mud water going down in the brook, because that's one of the biggest thing they don't want to happen. Because
Yeah,
right now, half of the
unfortunately,
backyard.
unfortunately, Charlie should have known better that close to the brook.
So Charlie is not to be blamed for
Yeah,
the depth that I went. Charlie sent the dirt. At night, I come home from work. I put the dirt down by hand. The stone wall you're looking at with the L shape, that was all concrete cement, three feet wide, 6 inch thick,
you
poured
poured
by
that,
hand.
you poured that concrete?
That was poured by hand. That entire backyard,
No.
maybe once or twice a bobcat has ever
Yeah.
came on my property. It might sound crazy, but I'm telling y'all the God Almighty truth. That dirt was put down by hand. I remember one day I had 16 yards truckload of dirt. And I worked from maybe 7 o'clock the evening till 5 a.m. in the morning. And I put down three of them. And I
Yeah.
went to work and did my 10-hour shift and came home and went back to it again. And I'm
Uh,
not saying all these things to get any sympathy, but honest to God, if I knew that this was, a violation to this magnitude, I wouldn't even go that far back.
well, that's why I'm saying Charlie should have known. Charlie knows better. He's been around. He knows when dump trucks are coming in that close to a brook. He should have asked if he had a permit.
Well, you have a point.
You know. Any questions from the commission members? Nothing? Katie?
Yes, Alan, I do have a question about what our options are here. We've talked about a potential fine, we've talked about a lien. Are those the only two options on the table?
Well, we need to wait for the town attorney to come back and give
Town
us their
attorney,
opinion
right,
before we can make any type of a decision there.
right,
Personally, I like what Peter has delineated
me
for a
too.
timeline of removal. Uh, if we continue and uphold the violation until next April or the next meeting in April, uh, and have Mr.
Mirage.
I'm sorry,
Mirage.
Mirage. Thank you for pronouncing your name for me,
Well,
Mr. Mirage. Uh, have him come back with a timeline as to when and how much he can do uh, going forward. Because as we all know, this is a monumental work trying to remove all this, whether it's going to be done by machine or if it's going to be done by hand.
well, it can't be done by hand. It's impossible to be done by hand.
Well, nothing's impossible to be done by hand.
Well, Yeah, but I still have to load the truck. Ain't nobody gonna put their truck on the property for me to dig the dirt and shovel it in there.
So anyhow, uh,
Yeah,
it's,
if you look at the GIS mapping, the wetlands line goes pretty far up the property.
well, and also I want to just point out for the record, it's not whether or not over the last 9 years you've had any instance of flood water moving any of what you've placed. The problem is that you're within a flood zone, which means that there is a potential of catastrophic flooding that would take what you've done and completely erase it from your property. I mean, there is always that potential. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that there is a potential of that happening. And that's why this is important that this is removed. So, I mean, I understand we may not have had massive floodings in the last few years, but we have had some pretty good flooding here in this town. So, yeah, this is obviously a concern.
Mr.
I just
Chair,
have,
Yep.
I just want to note, I don't know if folks have seen it, but Brian Deno has put some comments in the Q&A.
Well, can we elevate him and have him say a few things?
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm seeing them in
Yeah.
the
Yeah, Peter,
Q&A.
you're muted if you're talking.
Where is Peter?
Well, he's there. He's talking, but he's muted. There we
Sorry.
go. It's all right.
I thought I had promoted Mr. Deno. But he writes that Dwayne has been advised to put in hay bales and stake them to the soil. He looked for the materials to do this, but couldn't find him. I gave a place to look. The second one was, I will add the erosion controls to the plan and add Peter's conditions with the timeline going forward. And his last comment was the first thing to protect is the brook. So I think those are all good comments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I'm
looks
not
like
sure.
Mr. Lester also had something he wanted to say.
yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask Mr. Mirage if he's seen the conditions that Peter had outlined, and if you did, does that time frame look reasonable to you?
Well, it is and it's not because as I say, I'm cherry picking right now to see the best possible contractor that I could find to remove this soil ASAP. I also have to remove the shed, which I'm gonna have to do by hand. Plus, I have a lot of stuff in that shed, so I gotta actually set up a storage closer to my house, then remove all the stuff. The shed won't take me long to take down. I built that shed by hand myself, so it won't take me long to remove it. So after that, I'll notify Peter and then I'll try to start ground digging. Honestly, it's not a small amount of soil, guys. We're talking about 5 to 6 feet of soil by about 75 to 80 feet wide. This is a
Yeah.
lot of soil.
That's a lot of soil.
Yeah. If you're gonna move the shed, I suggest you talk to Peter before you move it somewhere.
No, I'm not moving the shed
You're
I'm
just
not,
gonna
I'm
remove it.
breaking the shed down.
Okay,
That shed cannot be just picked up and moved.
okay.
I just to make it clear, moving forward, the town after all of this, the town of Bloomfield won't hear my voice, won't see nothing for me again,
Yeah.
unless I'm sending something for a permit.
All right, so Peter, do we have any more questions from the commission?
This business about the lien, Alan,
Yeah.
don't you have to have a figure on what it would cost to do all of this work so that you know how much to put the
Yeah.
lien for.
That's why I was thinking Public Works, if they did the work and came up with an estimate of what it costs and then put a lien on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it still goes back to getting the opinion from the town's attorney about whether or not we should do a lien or whatever they
Right.
recommend.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
So we still have to put one step in front of the other.
yeah,
So, Mr. Allen, so
yeah.
when a lien is put, for example, the state wants 70 grand to do the job and they do the job for 70 grand. They'll put a lien on my home for $70,000. And as you said earlier, I would have to refinance or sell the house in order to pay that $70,000, correct?
No,
No.
well,
No,
not necessarily. If you did it with the state of Connecticut, they'd come after you tooth and nail. If the town did it, they would probably let it sit there.
When
You
you
know,
say let it sit, what do you mean?
in other words, not go to court and make you pay, but just leave the lien on there until you were ready to sell the house. Could be
It's
10 years down the road.
yeah, I mean, I'll,
when you sold the house, then that $70,000 would go
Yeah.
to the town.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not laughing at y'all. I'm just laughing at the situation.
I know you're in a tough spot and
I'm in a tough spot, but selling my house is the last. It's not even an option.
Yeah,
This
but
is for
well,
what,
my
no, this
kids.
is, you aren't required to sell the house to satisfy the lien.
yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves, really. You
Yeah.
gotta talk to the town attorney.
You probably want to talk to some of your own advisors about how a lien works, but it is not a debt to be satisfied instantly. So,
So why don't we wait for the attorney and hopefully by the next meeting, I have a plan how to remove this soil because I hate the word lien.
mm,
But in the meantime, you can, remove the shed.
Sir, I will remove the shed, just like I promised you the last meeting that the topographic survey will be submitted. I am here telling you again, I will remove the shed.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the commission?
no,
Peter, do
Do
we
we-
need to vote to uphold the notice of violation, or it just stays on automatically?
No, you need to vote to uphold it.
Okay.
I
Someone
have a
should make a
question for you,
motion
Peter, before I
to
go.
uphold the notice of violation.
Okay, is there a motion to uphold the notice of violation?
well, is that all we need to state, or do we need to go into asking for a timeline coming next month?
Good
I think
question.
the motion to uphold the notice of violation continues it to the next meeting. Mr. Mr. Mirage has said he wanted, or he would be able to take the shed down. So if you want to include that in the motion, that's fine, but I think until we hear it from the town attorney, we have to, not be very specific here.
All right, well, I move that we uphold the notice of violation for 63 Lincoln Terrace until the next meeting, April 18th.
21st,
I'm sorry, 21st.
April 21.
Made
Is there
by
a second?
Kevin, seconded by
I'll second.
Paul.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. All right, we'll see you next
That's
month.
seven yays?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7.
Okay,
Well, we still have, he's on the docket still for another thing later on.
yeah. Well, we won't take them out of the meeting, but we're gonna take them out for this part.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you a little later.
Okay.
All right. Next item, notice of violation for 61 East Dudley Town Road. Well, you newbies are getting all the violations this time.
So I'm going to promote Mr. Brian Fairclaw, I think is, or Fairclough. And I'm not sure who else.
Is Andrew Quirk there?
Yes. Promote. Okay.
You ready, Peter?
Yeah, we're waiting for Mr. Quirk to tell us he's there. There he is. Okay.
Evening, Chair, Commission members.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Why don't you give the new members the background on this a little bit, Peter?
yes, I will. Okay. So, this notice of violation was originally issued on February 10th due to erosion of a sand stockpile resulting in pollution of on-site and possibly off-site wetlands and watercourses. In the southeast part of the property, sorry. Violation was initially heard February 18th. It was continued, or the commission upheld the notice to the March 17th meeting. The notice of violation included several corrective measures. The first was installation of erosion control measures around this stockpile. The site was frozen over during my visit in late February, and I was there again today. And the erosion control measures have been installed on the around the sand stockpile. We had about an inch of rain overnight, and there was, I didn't see any additional erosion, but the site conditions out there were so sloppy that I couldn't get around to the back side of the backside of the pile where I really needed to go. Um, uh, I'm assuming that the erosion controls are around the backside, but I didn't witness them myself. The second, or one of the other corrective measures, was to submit a new survey showing the present operations of the the present limits of the operations on the property. That survey was not submitted, or has not been submitted to date. But I did speak with a surveyor. I'm not sure if that might even be Mr. Quirk, concerning what we were looking for a survey. This this notice of violation also included a corrective measure to remove the sediments from the wetlands and or watercourses that were eroded in. And I wasn't able to really get a better idea or a better feel for what was there. The first time we went there, there was evidence of erosion, but everything was frozen. The second time I went back was right after the ice storm, so everything was frozen again. We still need to do a field investigation to find out how much material and how much material was eroded and the best way to remove it. One of the things that I couldn't really tell when I was out there was where the property line is. So I'm recommending that as part of the initial survey, we understand where the property line is by having the surveyor put some stakes or some kind of markers out there so we know where it is. The other one of the other items that needs to be addressed here is in the previous permit wetlands permit for this project, there were some perimeter erosion control measures that consisted of some earthen berms that were supposed to be the first line of defense for the wetlands, and kind of also gave a limit or defined where stockpiles were supposed to go on the property. The sand stockpile was placed in an area where those berms were not in good shape, and they need to be either updated or reconstructed or reinforced. In my memo, I call them the perimeter erosion controls, and that's what I'm talking about, not silt fence or hay bales. This is a permanent erosion control measure on the site. Um, the other um, uh, the other corrective measure was to uh, to submit a wetlands permit application for the ongoing operations that are out there. The facility was approved for a new wetlands permit in May of 2019. Permit was issued to Mr. Joseph Rouleau of partner of Envirocycle LLC, the prior property owners. The present operations appear to exceed the limits of the approved plan. The property was sold to the present owners in 2022, and wetlands permit do not transfer with the ownership of the property. They can only be transferred with the approval of the commission after submittal of a written request from the permittee. This transfer may not be easily obtained, and requirement for a new permit application for the present operations on the property is included in the condition of, in the corrective measures. However, with the discussions from last month's meeting where we had notice of violation and wetlands permit on the same property, some of the commissioners were very uncomfortable with even discussing a wetlands permit while there was still a violation.
Mhm.
So my recommendation is the commission uphold the notice of violation to the next meeting, April 21st, and set that date for the completion of all the corrective measures that were included in the original notice of violation, and to submit, a permit application also by that date. But the I wouldn't schedule it for a hearing until the violation is completely squared away. So I think it's 5 weeks from tonight till the next wetlands meeting, and I think that seems to be a reasonable amount of time to do those things. And we'll let the folks that are here to talk about that.
Who's here for the applicant?
Good evening, Chair, Commission members. Again, my name is Andrew Quirk, professional engineer and principal with Kratzer Jones and Associates with offices in Southington, Connecticut. We are a land surveying, civil engineering, and site planning firm, and we do wetland applications and things of this nature for stormwater permits. Mr. Fairclough has retained me. I've worked with him on several other projects, and to address the issues mentioned in the notice of violation. I did visit the site today for the first time, so I'm trying to get up to speed in terms of the site and the issues listed in the violation. And I wanted to, suggested to have this meeting with the commission and understand all the issues before we do the survey, so that we can prepare the survey and the corrective actions with all of that input as I try to get up to speed on this. Peter did a great job with addressing all the issues. I don't have too much to add to that. Just maybe some clarifications. If maybe I could do a screen share. Is that possible? Because I do have the plan up, and maybe this would highlight some of those areas.
You should be able to share your
I
screen.
should, okay.
At the bottom, there should be a green arrow that says share.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, great. So this is the plan from 2019, and the notes on here are from Peter about those various areas. And I was on site, pictures of them as well that we could share. But just a few comments just to understand the scope and the limit of the survey that the commission would like to see. In walking the site and looking at the areas that are noted here for the violation, it did not appear that any of the issues were at all close to property lines. We could, of course, survey them, but I believe they're going to be well within the wetlands and away from the activities. I don't know if is my pointer visible on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, of course, the property line here and the limit of wetlands. The line types are a little difficult on this previous map, but they are the property line is within the wetland area, and the areas of violation are, this gravel area, which may be a little bit closer to the berm, but certainly a distance from the property line. The sand pile and stockpile, I'd have to did not myself also, I wasn't able to access the rear of that to see just how far. And then this area here, there's just been some changes within the same envelope, I believe, but changes to some of the activities here. So certainly we can, anything that does get close to the property line, we could set some stakes and have those for a site inspection. But I do believe we're pretty good distance from the property lines. That's the other is at first impression, the items that are called out in the 2019 plan do seem like a reasonable plan. That if I were to develop a plan with permanent features to control erosion, these berm features, the stormwater and the stone check dams, things of that nature are, to me, seem appropriate. What we could do also at the time of survey is stake where these berms were proposed as a reference point. I think that might be more relevant to understand where the activities are compared to the 2019 plan, and then use those as reference marks for the corrective actions, and whether or not a new permit is needed, I think would depend on, the activities compared to the 2019 plan to determine whether we try to seek a transfer or a new permit based upon those findings. Other than that, I think I have direction as far as the type of plan to put together, and I'm happy to try to answer questions. I just was looking for input before we prepare the survey, identify those areas, and then report back next.
Yeah, I think there may be a little bit of an error in my plotting of that sand pile. I think it's further to the left because there's an existing drainage way right here. I think, next to the sand pile, the gravel road was running off. Yes, right there.
Yes, but this was the condition today. Yes.
Yes, and I wasn't able to walk much past this pile of bricks without sinking in. So you can see there that they have some straw wattles staked.
Yep.
But if we can go back to that other plan, or to the plan, I think that ditch, that swale is way over here. To the left.
Area. Okay.
No, further over.
No, it's not. No,
No?
you're off. So there's technically, if you guys can hear me, I don't know if I'm muted or not. Am I?
Yeah, no, we can hear you.
Okay.
But say no more.
So I'm Brian Fairclough, one of the property owners. So what you're talking about, Peter, is there's a secondary one that's over there. So where you drew the stockpile, it actually needs to shift to the right a little bit. And
Okay.
that's actually where it needs to go. It needs to shift to the right. But you are correct. There is another, I don't want to miscall it, whatever, but I'm gonna call it a drainage swale with, checks in it. Um, so
But
that you are correct.
that's
There
not
is
it.
one over there, but that's not the one you're thinking of right at the moment. The one is, it's actually, if I was to guess, to the right of where you drew the sand pile. That's
Okay.
roughly where that actually is the one you're thinking of
Okay.
that
Well, this,
Andrew showed pictures of.
yeah, this plan shows the berms that you can see in the field, right next to where I sketched gravel to the right, and
Yep.
then just to the left of that other drainage way. And, the sand stockpile is not covered by those berms. So one of my recommendations, one of the corrective measures was to either, uh, extend the berms or reconstruct them so
Yep.
that the sand pile can be in there. But for the wetlands violation, the uh, the actual location of that sand stockpile and this gravel area are needed on the survey. For your wetlands permit application, you're going to have to do a whole site survey.
Okay. Um, Maybe also for the commission too, I do have pictures of some of the berm, if that helps, because let's see if I have it. This doesn't. This actually has a portion of the berm here. It's very faint to see, because one of my suggestions, I think, too, would be that we do this on residential projects, is to install maybe 4x4 posts, thing that is more um, visible, because these berms were called out, I believe, to only be about 12 inches high, and now with the overgrowth in the woods, they're really almost, at least in this section, not that distinguishable. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad design. I think it's a natural design and it serves its purpose to collect sediment. And then if anything, it does, it may overtop all that. The water didn't seem to be anywhere near overtopping that. But I think as a way to um, define the limits of the permit with something more visible, 4x4 posts with, I don't know, if it has placards or else just something that identifies that limit is much more visible, because it's hard to tell what the limit is without something more permanent.
I would be okay with markers of some kind,
Okay.
whether they're 4x4 posts or something else.
Or medallions on the trees, or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I think we would look to prepare a survey with those limits of activities on that wetland side per the letter and mapping and the notice of violation, which again is this area from the berm. I don't know where. I guess this is towards the west, through the sand piles, and then the gravel area where the existing berm was visible here. Those the limits in this area, and then we can at the same time identify where the proposed berms were shown on the 2019 plan. So that'll help for inspection in the field to see where we are relative to that activity. And then I can work with Brian for erosion control measures between now and the next meeting and report those on the map and report back then.
Okay, I think it's important to understand that one of the conditions, or sorry, one of the corrective measures reads that an existing condition survey shall be submitted, showing the changes in the limits of the stockpiles and the processing. And in this, for the notice of violation, I'm mostly concerned about what's happening at that southerly, I guess, southeasterly property line.
Okay.
So it's not just the sand pile, it's whatever else is going on in that, southeasterly part.
Understood.
So do you think you'd be able to do that survey and submit it in time for the April 21st meeting? Really need it by the 14th.
Yes, we can do so.
How many days in advance do you need to know the meeting, Peter?
The,
7 days is enough. A week. I try to get my agenda package out to you folks a week before the meetings. So that's my drop dead day.
Any questions from the commission? Peter, this is the same thing. We have to uphold the notice of violation?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Motion to uphold this notice of violation for 61 East Dudley Town Road,
So moved.
made by Kevin, seconded by
I second.
Glenn. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain, it's unanimous. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, moving on to new business. 63 Lincoln Terrace.
We're going to ask Mr. Mirage to rejoin the meeting. This this application was submitted January 15th and officially received at the January 21st meeting. And the property is presently the subject of a notice of violation, which was discussed earlier at this meeting. And I think in this case, the property owner, Mr. Mirage, can submit an application. He has the right to do that. But there's definitely a conflict here with the application for keeping the material in place and the notice of violation to remove it. And it is recommended that the applicant withdraw the application or the commission vote to deny the application without prejudice, refund Mr. Moggs and refund Mr. Mirage application fees. This will allow Mr. Mirage to submit a new application in the future if necessary, once the notice of violation has been resolved. I really don't think there's anything really to add to that. It's the same question we had with the previous notice of violation. Should the commission even consider an application for a property that has a violation? And I think that the commission's feelings from last meeting were that they probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
So let's hear from Mr. Mirage.
So hello everyone again. As you stated earlier, based on the notice of violation, the application has no merit because it won't even be permitted because I'm still in violation. So at this present time, I'll verbally withdraw the application, and after this meeting, I'll send a proper email to Peter withdrawing this application because at this point it has no merit.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, if Mr. Mirage takes back the permit request, does he automatically get a refund on the application?
I
Or
think
is it
we-
only through us denying it, does he get a refund?
I think if you deny it, you don't get a refund, but if he withdraws it or we say he gets a refund, I believe he gets a refund. I mean, I would expect after, when he's done talking, we have a vote to refund his, application fee.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I believe that's what uh, Peter's suggestion is. We deny the application without prejudice and refund Mr. Mirage's application fees. So that motion would kind of cover all of those items, correct?
We could do it that way too. He's withdrawn it, but we could do it that way too.
I think if he's withdrawing it, there shouldn't be a motion to deny it, but
right.
there could be a motion to refund the application fees.
Yeah,
If he requests to withdraw, which he's done,
Yeah.
so,
he
Yes.
did.
okay.
All right. So any discussion on that? All right, is there a motion to refund?
Yes, I move that we refund Mr. Mirage's application fees.
All right, seconded by
I'll second that.
all. Discussion, all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed, abstained, it's unanimous. Thank you. We'll probably be seeing you again.
Who was the seconder on that
Paul.
motion?
Paul,
I was.
Well, okay, moving along.
Take care, Mr. Mirage.
Y'all
Yeah.
have a good night. Thank you.
yeah,
Wetlands map amendment.
Yeah. We have to open the public hearing on this one.
No, it is a public hearing?
So let me see. I'm going to promote Megan Fogarty,
Megan Raymond.
Rock Eman. Yeah.
I got my special rules.
Yeah. Okay. Megan or Rock, do we need to promote anyone else?
Only if Paul Butler is on the call, the owner and applicant of 25 Jerome Ave LLC.
Okay, I've got Paul Klopp and Tracy Varley.
Nope, it would be neither of them.
All right, and I got a bunch of question and answers here. Let me. Brian Deno. No, they're all Brian Deno. Okay.
Paul, Tracy are public? Peter?
What's that?
Paul and Tracy, they're not part of this, right?
Well, I'm going to ask them right now.
Or are they public?
Are you guys here for the Tracy Varley and Paul Klopp? Are you here for the wetlands map amendment application?
Mr. Klopp is muted and Tracy Varley is not responding.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put them on.
Why don't we just keep them where they are for the moment? If they
Yeah. They're
need to be
Just
on, then we'll.
make
in the
sure they're
panel.
muted. That way it doesn't interrupt anything that
Yeah.
goes on. And then if they need to speak, they can raise their hands.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
all right.
All right.
So with a public hearing, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I can make that motion that we move to open public hearing on wetlands map amendment application for 8 and 10 Gab Road and 687, 689, and 691 Bloomfield Avenue.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It's unanimous. Okay. So for public hearings, we have special rules, although I'm kind of loose with them. Don't tell anybody.
Mum's the word.
Be it what it is the applicant, uh, I'm sorry, the staff will make their presentation, applicant will make their presentation. Then we ask the public for questions. And then commission has questions. And then we go back to the public for comments. And then we go back to the commission for comments. And the applicant gets the last word.
Yep.
Um, what sometimes happens, and I'm explaining this for our new people, other people come in while we're going on. I'll bend the rules and let new people ask questions. So, because it's really for the public for questions and answers. All right. Okay, so Peter, you want to, and Peter,
Yes.
can you explain to the new members what wetlands boundaries is and how it comes about?
Right. So part of the requirements of the Wetlands Commission is to have regulations and to have an inventory of the wetlands of the town. Our inventory is the 2023 official map of inland wetlands and watercourses. And the map is a broad brush. It is not accurate at the single lot level. So as part of the regulations and as part of standard practice, when a new project is coming in, we have a soil scientist go to the field and take soil samples and determine where the limits of wetlands are on the property, the actual limits of the wetlands. The soil scientist puts flags out, surveyor comes out later and surveys them or plots them on a map, and we compare the town official map wetlands line with the line that's flagged in the field by the soil scientist. I was out on the site on two different occasions. One to look at a intermittent water course in the northerly most part of the property, and then last week, actually probably the week before, I went out to look at the flagged, the rest of the flagged wetlands. Most of these wetlands are associated with Wash Brook, which runs through some of these properties, and except for a couple of fingers in that intermittent water course, the wetlands are restricted to the channel of the brook, or a little bit further out from the channel of the brook. These are floodplain soils for the most part because they're in the floodplain of Wash Brook. The let's see, let's see. This application to amend the official map of inland wetlands and watercourses was filed in accordance with section 15 of the wetland regulations. This amendment is based on the soil scientist's field delineation and flagging of the wetland soil limits and the field survey of the wetland flags. Official map is not based on a soil scientist delineation, and the limits of the wetlands are approximate. The subject property, including all 9 parcels, are designated as the phase 4 of the center apartments master plan and have a total area of about 6 acres, 6.5, sorry. The commission members may not be aware, especially the new ones, that there was a master plan for the center apartments project that was approved by planning and zoning, I don't know how many years ago, before the first apartment building was built. So
Yeah,
quite
it was
some
a
time.
while ago.
Yeah, and so the phase 1 was Heirloom Flats. Phase 2 was 713 Bloomfield Avenue. Phase 3 was 20 Jerome. All of those are complete and occupied. The new, the 4th phase of the apartments is going to be on 8 and 10 Gab Road and all of the lots along on Bloomfield Avenue. However, the only 8 and 10 Gab Road, 687, 689, and 691 Bloomfield Avenue have wetlands on them or have wetlands removed from them by the flagging.
Yep.
The application form also lists 679, 681, 683, and 685 Bloomfield Avenue, but those properties don't have wetlands on them. The conclusion of my staff report is that it's recommended the commission approve the application and modify the official map of inland wetlands and watercourses to include the wetlands delineated by the soil scientists for these properties. And there was one discrepancy that I noted. The subject parcels, according to our internal GIS area, comes out to be about 6.6 acres.
Hmm.
If you add up all of the areas listed on the plans, it comes out differently, and so there's a discrepancy there. And I think the areas on the map were taken from our assessor's GIS information, and they're just not accurate. So, all right, that's all for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right.
Who's presenting, Rock?
Yep, I'll start off and then I'll toss it over to Megan when I'm completed. So just for the record, good evening. My name is Rock Emmond. I'm a senior civil engineer over at SLR International Corporation in 99 Realty Drive, Cheshire, Connecticut. This will be, I think, our third technical zoning or wetland amendment map along the Wash Brook, which is actually kind of exciting when you think about it, that we're getting more and more detailed with the Wash Brook. But as it relates to this project, I'm here with my colleague Megan Fogarty, who's a project soil scientist. And if Paul Butler is on the line, he is the owner applicant of 25 Jerome Ave. We are here, as Peter noted, pursuant to the next steps after the approval for the Bloomfield Center Phase 4 master plan to update the existing town of Bloomfield official wetland map based upon more accurate delineation of the surrounding wetland soils. Megan Fogarty will talk about that once I hop over to her. So the area discrepancy that Peter is talking about is, it does appear that it was taken directly from GIS, and that we're going to update based upon the A2 survey, which will also be supplied to Peter based on his technical comments. So we're going to be supplying and updating those numbers as we hopefully get it as a condition of approval. But to give everybody some context, there are 9 parcels that are involved in this project: 8 and 10 Gab Road, 679, 681, 683, 685, 687, 689, and 691 Bloomfield Ave. That total approximately 6.6 total acres. This includes a piece that is known as 691 Bloomfield Ave that is technically under the ownership of Connecticut Light and Power. Per a agreement between 25 Jerome Ave and Connecticut Light and Power, Eversource, they're acting as the applicant in this instance. That way, as part of the master plan, they can move forward with proposed improvements on that property. But as it relates to this application, this is really just to redefine the map, because specifically on that property, there's essentially 2 stormwater discharges that occur on the property that create an intermittent water course. And I'll bring up the map in just a second. Based on the map and the changes between the GIS, we're looking at about 13,940 square feet on the original official map. That'll be converted over to 15,892 square feet based on the updated information that we have. This number is calculated specifically on these properties. It does not calculate off property, just a point of clarification, as well as we are slightly reducing the total length of the Wash Brook on the property from, or I guess we're increasing it from 280 linear feet to 319 linear feet, as well as introducing a intermittent water course of about 250 linear feet. I'm going to bring up the plan that was submitted. Let's see, share. bang, bang. Man, I'm almost old hat at this. So you can see this is the map that was submitted to adjust the wetlands. So I'll zoom in to where we're actually talking about. So just to give everybody some site context, on the left is Gab Road. On the bottom is Bloomfield Ave. North is actually to the right to give you a better idea of what we're looking at. This line and then have kind of like a grade solid line behind it is the delineated wetland by a registered soil scientist. This line outside, that's kind of the dash that's a little more ambiguous, is the official line that is imported via the GIS. And we're looking to make this line essentially that line, as simple as it sounds. Additionally, with that, we've also integrated the limits of the Wash Brook. So you can sort of see the limits of the Wash Brook that are delineated by this line, dot line. That's the main water course at the bottom of the Toa slope. It's approximately 3 to 4 feet wide at the base here, and then it does bulge out as you go off property. As you go towards the south, there is a culvert that with head walls and a wing wall that goes off property under Gab Road. And then Megan can talk about this, but I'll just touch on it slightly, as well as Peter did touch on these. There are these two fingers that are essentially two swales, or I guess one swale and one diverging wetland finger that are located on these two parcels that are part of the project, as well as under the Connecticut Line Power portion, there is this intermittent water course, which by nature of it being stormwater driven is an intermittent water course that's located here. The property also has a portion that is located within the 100-year floodplain. That's at elevation 115. And that is, once again, as Peter was mentioning, that is the primary driver to the deposits that are located on this property. With that, I will toss it over to Megan, who can talk about the delineation, how it was gathered, and how it was plotted.
Thank you, Rock. My name is Megan Fogarty. I'm a wetland scientist at SLR. I, alongside and under the direction of Megan Raymond, professional wetland scientist and registered soil scientist, delineated the wetlands on the property on January 3rd, 2025. The purpose, as Rock was mentioning, is to refine the approximated wetland line shown on the 2023 official town map to better reflect the actual geomorphology and soil types on site. So wetlands were delineated in accordance with all state, local, and federal statutes. Functions and values assessment was completed based on the U.S. Army Corps workbook. Before visiting the site, we reviewed the official town map as well as NRCS web soil survey and other GIS data. We confirmed that the NRCS mapped soils were generally consistent with what they had mapped using direct observation via Dutch auger. Wetland soils on site are characterized as poorly and very poorly drained alluvium. So they're both hydric and floodplain soils, and they are known as the Limerick Limb and Sacote series. Wash Brook, as we've been talking about, is a perennial watercourse that flows south along the western property boundaries. The plush from forested riparian wetlands were delineated along the entirety of Wash Brook on site, and they do generally follow a topographic break and slope, which you can see on the contour map that Rock had up earlier. This is fine for now. And that's where the poorly drained alluvial soils are present. Now, the two narrow wetland fingers that we've been talking about, they extend east from the riparian corridor, and they're sort of in two shallow, low-lying troughs supported by seasonally high groundwater table. And that represents an addition to the town map wetland line in those locations of about 480 square feet. Now on the northernmost parcel, that 691 Bloomfield Ave, we have those two purple dots you can see on the screen there. Those are two stormwater outfalls, and they are the primary source of hydrology within this channel. Now, we considered the geomorphology of this channel based on the definition of an intermittent watercourse, and determined that it is a regulated intermittent watercourse due to the presence of defined bedded banks, flow beyond the presence of a storm event, and the presence of alluvium and detritus. I think it's important to remember that even though it meets the physical definition of an intermittent watercourse and it is classified as such, it is fully or nearly fully supported by stormwater emanating from those two outfalls. It's about 3 feet wide, super scoured, clearly gets some pretty flashy stormwater. And we also investigated the area around the channel, which the town map has it mapped just about halfway up the property to the east as a wetland. The areas around the channel are comprised of well-drained soils, and vegetation is consistent with the surrounding uplands. So after investigation, we determined that there are no wetlands apart from the channel itself on the 691 Bloomfield Ave property. And with that, I think Rock covered all of the numbers that I was going to, but open to questions, comments, but I think I will turn it back to Rock for now. And thank you for your time.
Yep. Thank you, Megan. So just to kind of wrap it up for everyone, we are looking for the wetland map amendment as part of this public hearing. We have been provided Peter's technical comments. We are starting to look at those and starting to modify the plans based on those. We have no issues with any of the comments that he's provided to date. In addition to updating and providing a more recent A2 survey with the current delineation by Megan Raymond and Megan Fogarty. The prior map was a little dated, and this is basically they went out, I think it was January 2025 when the last delineation was made. So we're going to update that map and provide it as well. We are open to any and all questions.
All right, Peter, you got a staff report?
You'll see in my in the agenda package report dated March 10th, 2025. The recommended conditions of approval here are that the permittee submit a revised wetlands map, that they also submit paper copies and a fixed line Mylar and file them on the Mylar on the land records, and that the official map shall be modified to reflect the soil scientist's wetland flags from WA1 through WA11. Mr. Eamon, can I ask you to put the survey back up so we can see where these lines actually are, where these points actually are?
Yep.
So starting on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see wetland A1 there. And then, nope, not that far. We're going to go to
just to the
line where
property.
it crosses the property line.
Got it.
Right there. That's as far.
Understood.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's WA1 through WA11.
Yep.
WA6A through WA6F is the first finger.
Mm-hmm.
And WA7A through 7E are the second finger, right? And then the intermittent water course is IWC 101. I'm sorry. I'm off.
I think you meant
IWC
110.
1 through 8.
1 through. Nope.
And then to the property line.
Yep.
And then 101 through 109 to the property line. So those are the changes that would be made to the official map for this application. We will probably use the location of the water course that was surveyed of Washbrook, and possibly the off-site wetland flagging in the next general update of our official map. But the wetland flag numbers that I called off and that are in the conditions of approval are the ones that affect these properties. As you can see from the map, some offsite wetlands and the water course were flagged, and that's fine. That's not part of this application.
Mhm.
So when whenever we do another general update of the official wetlands map, we'll probably include those offsite flags and the surveyed location of the brook. But I have, I don't know if let's see, did I leave it up? In the staff report, there are some photographs, and I don't usually include photographs because of, as I reprint these things in black and white, and the photographs show a lot more in color. So I stapled them in or included them in your package. I'm not sure if I stapled it too, but I was out there on March 10th. There we go.
Yeah, I got you, Peter.
Thank you. Can you blow it up?
Yep.
So this is a picture looking from Gab Road upstream. And that's wrong. I beg your pardon. This is I'm at the rear of lot for 687, facing southwest across the brook, and 28 and 30 Gab Road are in the background. So I'm actually looking downstream. But what is a little hard to see here, and it's in the little red dot over here on the left-hand side, near the fallen tree, is a wetlands flag. And if you kind of look in the background, there's some turquoise lawn furniture that used to be at the edge of the brook, but we're under flood conditions here, and the wetland flags matched very closely to the limit of the flooding. Can you turn to the next page?
I can. See, I thought they just wanted a good view.
Yeah. And so here's another view. That pink flag hanging from the tree is a wetland flag. I'm not sure which one that is. But it's again, it shows, that the wetlands were flagged at approximately the limits of whatever this, was a 5-year storm flood or something. And the last picture that's in there is looking the other way. This one is looking upstream. And it shows again that the area right around the brook does flood on a regular basis. I didn't actually get down to look at the culvert on Gab Road, but if you look at the flood studies that were done, there's a lot of backwater here from all the way down at the culverts under Cottage Grove Road, if you can believe it. This flooding is not due to a restriction at Gab Road. It's actually due to a restriction a half a mile downstream. So it's kind of not, I don't want to say unusual, but you don't usually, my experience is most of the time you don't go out there when the streams are flooded. And this time I happened to catch it, and the wetland flags were placed pretty much where the limit of the flooding was. So that, and my own testing of the soils with an auger, I'm in agreement with the flagging that was done, and I recommend that the commission approve the application. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the public? Paul, Tracy?
Tracy Harley appears to have just muted themselves, so.
Okay. All right, no questions from the public. Any questions from the commission? Now, this is just for wetlands boundary. They're not telling us what they're gonna do with the property.
Yep.
It's not part of this application. We're just getting the line straight.
So I'm looking at one of the maps that was submitted by the SLR folks, the figure 2, which shows in light green and dark green the wetlands delineation.
Yep, I'll bring it
Yeah,
up as
that
well.
one.
Yep.
So does that delineation coincide with the pictures that Peter just showed?
Yes. Yep, those flags are the pink flags that you saw in the pictures will be
Yep.
at each of those points on the map that are labeled.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions? Mhm. Um, any comments from the public? Any comments from the commission? Um, all right, any last words from the applicant?
Nope. We really appreciate everyone's time. Welcome to the new commission members. I'm sure you'll see my face more often. And we look forward to doing some great work in Bloomfield.
Thank you. Same here. And is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Made by Kevin, seconded by Paul.
Second, sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? It's unanimous. All right, now, do we want to vote on it? Now we have to vote on the application. That was to close the public hearing, the previous one.
Yep.
Who wants to make the motion?
I will make a motion that we vote on the, let me go back to the wording of the map here, the wetlands map amendment application for 8 and 10 Gab Road and 687, 689, and 691 Bloomfield Avenue, wetlands file number 75-2025-08.
And that's what map, December 30th, 2024? Is that the latest map?
Let me
Yeah.
see,
Should be.
Okay.
believe.
And that incorporates all the stipulations by staff?
No,
Yeah,
there will be a revised map based upon Peter's comments, based upon your condition of approval to integrate Peter's comments.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's good.
So do you want me to clarify in the amendment that it's based on the recommended conditions of approval?
Yes.
No, I don't
Okay.
think, no, because it's in the report when you're accepting Peter's staff report.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
Okay, I'll second.
Second by Kevin. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye-bye.
Item number 5, no new applications.
An update for you on that. I have an update for you on that one.
New applications?
I received on Friday 2 applications for a development at 529 Cottage Grove Road. This is the property that's west of the railroad tracks, east of Northwestern Drive, and on the south side. Presently owned by the University of Hartford. The applications we received were for a wetlands permit and a wetlands map amendment, both of which are going to require public hearings. And I'm recommending that the commission set those public hearings for the April 21st meeting. And if if that's acceptable to the commission, there, you don't have to take a vote, but we do need to get consensus on that date. Now, I believe, Alan, you said that you were not going to be here
That is
for that
correct.
meeting. So we have 5 other members here, 6 other members. And if you guys are okay with having the public hearings opening on that date, that'll be fine. I think that's the way to go.
What's the date again, Peter? I'm sorry.
April 21st, regular meeting day,
Regular meeting, April 21st.
Monday.
Yep.
Just make sure.
I was going to say that the map amendment will probably go like the previous application we just heard, with the, I'm going to get out there to look at the wetlands, probably have a visit or 2 visits with the soil scientist to make sure that all of the wetlands are flagged. But that application could possibly be completed at the April 21st meeting. The permit application is going to be a little more complicated, so that one probably won't be approved at the April 21st meeting. But the public hearing can stay open.
Yeah. What was the address again, Peter?
529 Cottage
Thank
Grove
you.
Road, 529. In other, other considerations, like I've done for other projects, I'm going to set up some meetings for the commission to come out and see the property. There will be, 2 or 3 of those set up so that you guys can come out and see what the wetlands look like, and what the wetlands look like that they're proposing to fill. They are proposing some fill. So there will also be a mitigation area, and there's going to be stormwater management facilities, and I forget how big the building is. It's going to be a multi-tenant retail business with at least one drive-through window, with a drive-through window. I shouldn't say with at least. They're showing one, and that's probably either for a bank or possibly for some other use that would have a drive-through. And if you guys are okay, I will schedule those public hearings for the 21st of April.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
That works for me.
Somebody's got to run the meeting.
Sounds good.
Well, we'll get to that as we get a little further down. Okay, so I'm not going to schedule any other public hearings
Right.
Thank you.
for that night, because we'll have those 2, and that's enough, with plus 2 notices of violation coming back. Okay, so that's 421. Okay, so again, I will let there's only 4 weeks between wetlands meetings, because we meet every month. But occasionally, like this one coming up, it's actually 5 weeks. So there's plenty of time, I think, to schedule these meetings and getting out there to look at it. And the sooner we do that, the better, because the ground is starting to thaw out, and new growth is going to start coming up in the woods. And this site is completely wooded. So we
And
want to get out there before the prickers start growing again.
And don't forget, it's already tick season. I've been covered with them.
Oh, I haven't. That's good to hear. I mean, good to know, not good to hear. Sorry
I
about
got
that. Yeah, we'll do tick protocol training as well. Okay.
All right.
So again, if I get more applications, I'm not going to schedule them for public hearings in April. As the commission,
push them off to May too, because you got quite an agenda for April.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to schedule any new public
Yeah.
hearings. And the commission may or may not be aware that I'm not uh, generally I'm not trying to schedule a public hearing the same night that the applications are officially received.
Right.
So I did that for just the previous application because I felt it was fairly simple. This one isn't going to be as simple. So we're going to they have been officially accepted uh, at tonight's meeting based on their submittal last week. They're officially received at the next meeting, which is tonight, and we'll set those public hearings for the 21st of 21st of April, excuse me. So yeah, that's all I have for that. The the other thing that I'm going to do, and I try to keep up with this on the commission website or web page. I upload applications and staff memos and maps and reports and stuff so that people are interested. They can look at them, without having to come down to the town hall. And I'm going to do that for these new applications as well, so that if you want to go look at the plans, they're going to be available on the web page. A lot of the plans that we get in these days are too big to email because they're more than 21 megabytes or whatever our thing can handle. And so I post them there so that they can be, readily available. Okay. No other new applications.
Okay. Wetland agents permit?
Yes, we received this one for 95 Rescue Lane, which is west of the dog leg on West Dudley Town Road. Some of the older commissioners might remember a project that included I think it was a 6-lot industrial subdivision. It was called Beeman Brook Industrial Subdivision, and it's on the same road where the Simon Dog and Cat Foundation building is, and on the other side of the road from them. We have a applicant and property owner, Orlando Excavation, wants to move their construction yard and storage from the back of Capaco over to this site. They're going to have outside storage of construction materials and a storage building. All of their work is outside of the upland review, outside of the wetlands and outside of the upland review area, except for a stormwater management pond, which is in the upland review area and has an outfall at the edge of the wetlands. So that one's a fairly simple, no big building, no significant increase in impervious coverage, but they will have a stormwater quality, pond or basin. And I can show a plan, I think, if you guys want to see the plan.
Is that the 18-acre parcel?
Yeah, it's a good sized parcel.
Hmm.
And the proposal is only to use a relatively small amount of that parcel. Let's see.
Doesn't look like there's much wetlands on it.
There isn't. Okay, can you guys see the plan here, the Delta plan?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so to the north edge of the page is a match line. That match line matches over here, and there's Rescue Lane. So Rescue Lane is just off the plan here. And this property has this rather narrow entryway here, and then as you can see, it opens way up. So the wetlands here are associated with a um, an a perennial water course over here. These are wetlands that were flagged in probably 2019 or 2020, something like that. And they were part of a wetlands map amendment at the time. So there's an little internal wetland here, and then there's wetlands associated with a water course and some old water course channels in this part of the property. But the proposal is to come in with this is going to be a gravel or processed stone area for outside storage, a little storage building up here, and a stormwater quality structure basin here, some pipe, and an outfall at the edge of the wetlands over here. I'm going to try to pull that outfall up higher away, so it's not right at the wetlands. But this qualifies, I believe, as a wetlands agent approval, because there's really, here's the upland review areas. None of the work is in the upland review areas, except for right here. So if you guys are good with that, I will review it as a wetlands agent permit.
Yeah,
I'm
Peter,
good.
they're behind Capaco, because that's where they store topsoil and sand, I believe, too. Are they going? Although
Yes,
that's a zoning issue, really.
right. Except for the salt or sand that they might use at Capaco, everything else is going to come over here.
Okay.
Because
But-
Orlando is the snowplow
Okay.
contractor for Capaco.
Okay. So the salt's going to stay on Capaco.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got no problem with you doing it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Sounds good.
For, to our new members, applications that are pretty cut and dried with not a lot of what's the word, Peter? Difficulty. Peter's allowed to give a wetlands agent permit, and it doesn't come before the commission. If any commission member at the time thinks it should come, you can speak up, and then they'll have to submit an application to the full commission. But otherwise, Peter is allowed to do certain applications on his own. And he has the guidelines set down by us, I believe.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add there is that for the most part, they're applications that do not have direct wetland or water course impacts. But they do have regulated activities in the upland review area for which they need a permit.
And if he runs into a problem, then he comes back to the commission with it.
Yep.
Yeah. We did have one wetlands agent permit that they didn't like what Peter told them to do, and they came back to us. And they should have stuck with Peter. So, yeah.
Because you guys gave him more of a hard time.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other enforcement actions, Peter?
No new ones. But I was given heads up about a site on Cottage Grove Road next to the new apartments there, next to Lavender Fields. I'm going to go take a look at that tomorrow and see if there's a violation there. It's the old SOS electric building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some folks came in there to open what I believe was a furniture showroom. And the building is in the floodplain. I mean, the The first floor is, I think, is a foot or two below the flood zone over there. So for whatever reason, they were interested in this building, knowing that it was a risk. And they've had some issues with getting building permits to do stuff in there because the building code says you got to have everything above that flood zone. So I'm going to go over there and take a look probably tomorrow or the next day. And if it's a violation, I will have it on the April 21st agenda.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Status of ongoing projects.
Okay. Let's see. I was going to write a bunch of them down, but I didn't do it. So the projects that are presently under construction include the Abbey Court condominiums on Blue Hills Avenue at 1120 Blue Hills Avenue. They're building I forget how many multi-unit condos back there, but they're well on their way. I think they've got all their foundations in, and quarters are a little tight over there, so they're running into each other a little bit, but they're not doing too badly. Last week, I guess, or whenever we had the previous rainstorm, there was a bunch of sites that needed to be reminded about their erosion control measures and not tracking stuff out in the street, and they were one of them. But when I went by later on, a week or so after, they seemed to have things cleaned up, and there was no mud on the road today. So they're doing okay over there. The apartments at 20 Jerome Avenue are complete. They've been complete. They've submitted an as-built plan, which we're reviewing, and they're going to ask for their CO agreement and possibly their wetlands permit agreement bond back. And that's part of the normal process of when a project is completed. There aren't really a lot of other new construction happening. There's a lot of stuff that's on the books that's going to start in 2025, but they haven't really got off the ground yet. We have final plans and permits issued for the Seabury addition, for the senior housing on Blue Hills Avenue, and also for the large warehouse at 116 West Dudley Town Road. I anticipate that all of those projects will be started in 2025. That's all I have, unless the commission has questions about specific construction projects. We can move on.
All right, minutes. You want to do minutes now or put them off to the next meeting?
No, let's do them now.
We've
We can
got
put
time.
off elections till the next meeting.
No,
Sorry, Alan,
Okay.
you're out of there.
well, Alan could be nominated as janitor,
Oh, okay. Minutes?
clean up
Right.
our mess.
Go ahead, keep it. I know where you live, Kevin.
Yeah, well,
Right over there.
yeah.
Right over there, across the street from me.
Quit looking down on me.
I see you cutting wood all the time.
You never come over to help.
No. All right, so what do we got? Minutes?
Minutes.
Peter, you get an A from me.
Nice.
Was this Joyce's last minutes?
Yes.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Katie, did you find anything?
No, it gets an A from me too.
Well, let's
Wow.
elevate that to an A+.
I
Can
love
we
it.
bring her
I'm
back?
gonna rain on the parade.
Oh, what
what
we
do you got?
miss?
And it's so picky. It's so
Ah,
picky.
Paul, you
so
could be setting yourself up for vice chair.
no further comment. I started, so I'll finish on page 2 in the in my spotlight moment where it says I made a motion. In the second line, there's just some extra punctuation. There's a period and a comma after condition 16. I mean, negligible. We can call that nothing, but I miss Joyce.
Yeah.
Okay, we can make that correction.
Actually, I do have a comment, but it's only a comment. I think that it's somewhat of an oversight, and you can tell me whether or not it's appropriate. Nowhere in here does it say that Joyce Pickett was retiring
Oh,
We
and
did.
that we had said very nice things about her and her wonderful, excellent, and faithful handling of our minutes.
You must have taken them out.
I wonder if she did.
Yeah.
Modest to a fault.
Was it at the beginning or the end of the meeting? I don't remember.
Both.
Beginning.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have taken them out.
Well, it should be a matter of public record.
Yeah.
I will put in a sentence or two, one at the beginning and one at the end there to satisfy that.
Thank you.
That I think you're right.
Thank you.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know or don't remember, for the most part, Joyce would send me the draft minutes, and then I would heavily edit them. So I don't believe she included anything about that in the draft minutes that she gave me, which why it's not here. So I'll put something in to acknowledge that it was her last night and that she was doing a good job.
Yeah.
Very good job.
Now we miss her. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
We need a vote to approve the minutes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
So moved.
Made by Kevin, seconded by Paul.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed, abstain, it's unanimous.
One extension.
I'm sorry, Byron abstains. All right. All right. Election of officers. So we have to elect a secretary, a vice chairman, and a chairman.
Can it be a vice chairperson?
Yes, it can.
All right. So I move that. I'm not sure. I'm not making a motion, am I?
Yeah, you make a motion.
No, I
Make a nomination.
Make a nomination, yeah.
Yes, I would like to make a nomination of, sure, for whatever reason, I don't see your name anymore. Alan,
That's me.
yes, as that I believe he should remain as our chairman.
Yeah.
He's done a very good job, and despite the fact that he looks down on me at all points of time, I think he's a good fellow.
I really don't. I'm in the first building.
All right.
You know?
You're the one with that really obnoxious vehicle that runs sometimes? Very
No,
loud?
that's the lady behind me.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
But we won't make her the chairperson.
No.
No.
Is there
But we
any
do.
other- Heather?
Now, do we need a second for that?
Well, we gotta see if there's any other nominations.
Okay.
Anybody else want to step up? Yeah.
You're also welcome to nominate yourselves.
Kevin, aren't you currently the secretary?
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to nominate you to remain secretary.
Oh, wait, so we want to do it all as one slate?
We can do that.
Okay.
And I also would like to nominate Katie Blint as our vice chairperson.
Yeah,
Right.
just
I
when you
like
thought
that.
you were out.
I love you too, Alan.
All right, any other nominations? Is there a motion to close the nominations?
So
I'll move
moved.
that. Nope,
Seconded by Paul.
sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Glenn, I saw you, did you have a question?
Who?
Glenn?
No.
Oh, okay.
Right. And,
So,
all right, so all in favor of the slate as proposed?
Aye.
I,
I,
Same. Opposed? Thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you.
yay.
Yeah. All right, Katie.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Katie.
And I won't be
you.
here next meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there training or,
Training, it's training by fire.
Uh-huh.
can't wait.
I think just rewatch Alan's introductory remarks tonight.
Yeah.
Thought that was a great, nice summation of the wetlands regs and how you keep the meetings moving.
Yep,
Yeah.
I took good notes.
There's also that breakdown of how we do public hearings is also in our bylaws.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
the rest of the commission can help you through it too.
Yeah, we'll help.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We won't let you flounder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, I'll read the bylaws by the next time too.
Uh-oh, one of those guys.
Thank
Well,
you.
good. At least somebody will have read it.
We wrote it, but we never read it.
Well, they're posted on the website.
Yeah, I know, I read it. Okay, we're gonna do public comments. Are there any public comments?
No,
No
no
public
attendees.
comments. Is there any comments from the new commissioners? Look, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, you've been pretty efficient, it sounds like, right?
I enjoyed the first meeting.
Sometimes it
Yay.
doesn't work that way. So.
Byron, we're gonna call that beginner's luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be here next meeting. Well, good luck.
So, yeah, once we get the permit for that fourth phase of the apartments, we're gonna have a lot more attendees from the public. And we're gonna have to listen to their questions. We're gonna have to listen to their comments. And Alan, as long as he's here, will be stopping them quite often to say, please keep this strictly wetlands questions or wetlands comments.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And do we put a time limit on it for
You
each
can, if you see a
person?
lot of people, don't be afraid to put a limit on it.
Like a 2-minute?
Tell them, let other people have a chance.
Yeah,
And with the public meetings, I tell them we want to adjourn by 10,
right.
and that keeps them moving,
Okay.
so they don't talk too much. You don't have to adjourn by 10, but that's the
Right.
goal.
We
Right.
would like to.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So we need a motion to adjourn the meeting and then we'll turn off the recording stuff.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So
Make a
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Oh, is that Glenn?
Yeah.
Yes.
All
Oh,
right,
excellent. All right, I'll second that.
Glenn. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? It's unanimous.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Wait,
so
we gotta.
I am gonna turn off the recordings.
Yeah.
But I want the commission to understand that the Zoom is still